Thanks to Sportimity for sponsoring the Urban Sports Insider podcast. Sportimity is an app and a social sports service that helps search for playgrounds and friends to sport with. You can find it in the App Store for free. You can also find them online at sportimity.com and on Instagram and Twitter at @Sportimity. Download it today and find your community. I know a lot of people in New York who never even been to DC, so why should people come?
Because it's lit.
Uptown. I see you Southside.
Welcome to episode 8 of the Urban Sports Insider podcast. Today I sit down with Matt Green, founder of District Running Collective, a DC running crew taking over the streets of the nation's capital, my hometown, and we get into the ever-changing landscape of the DMV area, representation of brown and black people in the running community, and why DC is becoming more and more of a destination. Let's get right into it. Matt Green, also known as Mars. What's good, man?
What's up, man?
Good to have you here. Good to have you on. We're actually in Gaithersburg right now, Gaithersburg, Maryland, not too far from where you work.
Yep.
Not too far from where actually I went to high school. I grew up in Northeast, Northwest, PG County, and then later on Montgomery County over here. Good MoCo.
Yes,
so,
the DMV.
The
officially.
DMV. So this is the old stomping grounds. But you grew up in DC, in Petworth, right?
Yes, Northwest Washington in Petworth. So I was born and raised there, and I currently reside there. So yeah,
Petworth changed a lot.
Yeah, oh, for sure. It's a complete different place than what I grew up.
Yeah. Yeah, people ask me sometimes, "Oh, you're from DC. Like, where should I go hang out?" And so I've been in New York about 8 years now, and I'm like, I have no idea. I was
right.
like, I couldn't tell you what's popping these days. So things change so fast. But yeah. So, and you're a graphic designer.
Yes.
You spoke about that a little bit. You work for the city, or?
So I work for the federal government.
Uh-huh.
I work for the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. It sounds a lot more crazier than what it is, but
yeah, anything with nuke in it sounds crazy.
I know, right? I can't really help it. Don't look me up. Nah, but I work for a federal agency, and I've been working there for the past going on 10 years, I believe. And it's just something I got out of school, co-op, and then they offered me a position out of when I graduated, and I took it. So, it's been a great experience there so far. I try to balance the 9-to-5 thing and doing everything creatively outside of it, because with working in the government and trying to be creative tends to be, you find a lot of obstacles there with creativity. Mm-hmm. But I try to put stuff in creatively as much as I can. I don't fight as much as I used to. I kind of just go to work, go home, and run. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
And so you went to college outside of DC?
Yeah, I went to North Carolina A&T State University, HBCU in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Cool. High school, you were at DeMatha, right?
Yes.
You were a wrestler there, right?
Yeah, wrestling was my main sport. So I guess I got a lot of what it meant to be an endurance athlete, so to speak, from wrestling. When I was there, it was the number 2 high school in athletics in the country. I mean, we were pretty much ranked in every sport in the nation. Wow. So, yeah, like, if anybody knows me, I'm not, a super tall guy at all. So playing football and basketball was, all those dreams got shut down pretty soon my freshman year. And I found wrestling to be the sport that I would end up getting into, that would take me through as a 3-year varsity starter. So
it's funny because you kind of have like a wrestler stature. Like, I wasn't surprised to learn about that.
I'm not as small as I used to be, but I can definitely see how people can go, okay, I can see you're a wrestler. It makes sense.
That's cool. In terms of running, though, just like you mentioned, it's a different body type, for almost every sport. But the whole underground running scene has brought about, like, shined a light on runners of all body types, and that's really cool.
Oh yeah,
Cool
for sure. I mean, we're not the with running crews is not the typical the prototypical running body that you see. I mean, they're out there too, but you see people in all shapes and sizes, and they're out there getting it too.
That's dope. So you started in 2013 with your co-founders. I read that you started around the time of the Nike women's half marathon that happened here, right?
Yeah, District Running Collective started in 2013. And honestly, it was kind of built from the women's half that the year before. So like in 2013, before I met you, they had the 2013 women's half. I think the Nike store had just been built in DC maybe the year before, but they brought the women's half to DC. And that's when I saw from, like, with my own eyes, a lot of the run crews that came down. I never forget, like, seeing Black Roses pull up in they had, like, an all blacked out van. Their gear was, like, crazy. That was the year we started our weekly runs. Because when we first started DRC, it was just, like, event-based. And it was, it started something as my birthday. I remember seeing, like, Undo Ordinary in New York was doing, like, some, like, pop-up events. And they, like, just how people were doing stuff, I would say mainly in New York, just because that was my connection to the scene. Social media brought a lot more eyes to the scene as well. And seeing them, what they were doing, I was like, dang, like, it's dope that it's in New York, but everything's in New York, so why not bring it here to DC? And, I mean, long story short, we thought it would be something small, like 20 people, put it out on Instagram, made some t-shirts, set up an Eventbrite, easy stuff. And ended up getting around, I would say about 100 people came out that night. And from there, we did a couple other runs. And in 2014, it was the weekly run that really, popped off what DRC is today.
If I show up on a Wednesday, what's the vibe at a DRC run? What am I going to experience in a nutshell?
I mean, so basically, you really get a sense of community. So, and when I say that, I don't really say it lightly, because our numbers are up there. We get around 100 to 150 runners that come out on a Wednesday. It's a very social, like, friendly kind of scenario, and it can be, to someone that's just driving by, it's like one of those, like, oh my god, like, who are these, like, black people that's outside? Because we are predominantly black or black and brown crew, so that is, in that area, it's a sight to see, especially just like that many people just hanging outside in their running clothes. Is like, well, what's going on over there? So you have that. Then I'll start the announcements. I'll pull everybody in, so you'll see the group pretty much come together. And we got four. Well, we used to have 3 different groups. Now we have 4 groups, and we place each runners by level of running but mostly pace. So we have our flyers. That's like our more advanced group. The movers are running. That's the more moderate group. Now we have movers and groovers. So they're running like that 8:15 all the way to like a 9:30. And we have our cruisers. That's more of the beginner group. It's a slower group with people that are trying to get adjusted to running, and they're running like under 2 miles. So people typically fall in one of those groups, and we have the captains that help lead it. But we try to give it our own, flash and feel, naming the group so people can identify with the group that they're in. So we do introduce a lot of people to running. A lot of people that come to our group aren't runners before, or they have been running a little bit, but they haven't really got into it. And over the years, we've like progressed and got people in the races, running marathons, like really taking it, doing more to be a better runner. So I would say our thing is just changing people's whole perspective. We want to get people in DC running, want to get people that look like me running. And that's one of like the main goals of our group, and what we try to do is really just changing the mindsets of the folks that live in the city. Yeah. So we just try to make it welcoming for them. We just try to encourage, like, they don't walk the whole time.
Yeah. So I guess as a runner, talk about the community that Running Clubs has created.
I mean, personally with DRC, I've seen what a community brings to running is astronomical. Having a group that motivates one another, that pushes one another, And I mean, it's literally like, I mean, we've grown into more of a family more than anything, and the relationships that have kind of came outside of what us getting a couple miles in has done. You know, a lot of people have became roommates. We have people that gotten married. We have people that have had babies that met through DRC. So, I mean, I've seen it. It spans across. I mean, you talk about BTG, it spans across the globe. So people see what we do via social media or word of mouth. Like, I can go to, or I've been to South Africa and Sweden and crashed on people's couches that I may have never known if it wasn't for the running community. So what running groups has done for, the world has been wild, because it's just what running can do for someone individually. You multiply that times, 100 with a group inspires like masses. And a lot of the times what I say about what the mission of DRC and how we want to change how people look at running is really what I mean. That's what groups really do. You can go out and run by yourself and get miles in. You can run races by yourself. And to some people, I think they get enough from that. But the thing that makes me get up, every day and go out for a run or prepare myself to do all the work that I do with DRC and all the work that my team does for DRC is the fact that it's changing people's lives, every time that we hit the road. Every time people see that 150 people running down the street as a group and they ask, and we're not running through trails, like we're running down through heavy populated like streets where we got to like run through people. We're running through the bars that we may go to, restaurants or jobs that people have, and they see that, and there's like, it's people want to join it, people want to be a part of it because the energy is just like crazy. So, speaking from experience and knowing personally, I know people that have like they've lost, it could be losing weight, it could just being more healthy. It's crazy hearing some of the stories.
Yeah, it's kind of cool to hear you sort of like spit that vision, just because I spoke to Mike Sace on the last podcast, and it's almost exactly what he said he envisioned for the community when he started it. It's right on point with that.
And I do want to say thanks, Mike, for starting what you started. The godfather of Run Crews, because I mean, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today, and my life path wouldn't be going down this road if it wasn't what he did back in, was it 2005 when he ran across the bridge.
So you, being in since so much happens in New York and abroad, do you guys feel very connected to the global community, the New York community, or is it very like insular? I mean, I see you everywhere, all around the world. So
I mean, I make it a point, and I think as captains, like, I think every crew is a representation of how their captain or their leadership leads the crew and is. So I make it a point to, preach for other people to go and meet people. Like I'll announce, like, I've made certain connections with other captains around the world. I've talked to Mike and said that helped connect me, and Charlie, of course, has been like a huge part of giving me a lot of advice of how to do, the experiences that he's learned over the past, 10, 11 years with Rundem in their community. So, I mean, it's something that I see the value in it, and I know that travel is a big part of, I want to say, the Black community that we might not know as much about. And it's important to see how the rest of the world lives, and running has opened those doors. So I think we have great connections with a lot of the crews in New York, Canada, London, abroad. Like, we try to go there and make our impressions. And the beauty of like Run Crews is not something that you can pay for. You can't pay for your reputation. Like, it was something that we had to make DC known when we went to New York for a Harold Hunter run, and we may have had 4 or 5 people. We had to make ourselves known, and we went to Copenhagen in 2014. Was it 2015? But we had to make ourselves known in those places and make the connections. It's like, these are like true relationships, and that's why the trust is so big. And and so valuable because it's people that really take it seriously. So, I mean, I think we definitely connect.